right, so technology is continue its path of destruction or maybe salvation in the restaurant business. My name is Paul Barron, and this is the Barron Report. We are going to get into it today with Chef Robert Irvine, who is partnered up with a company called WorkMerk, and I want to intro Robin to the show. Great to see you, man.
How are you, Paul? Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, okay, so Robert, you sound like you've been very busy of late. Tell me, first of all, how did you guys get hooked up with WorkMerk? And then we'll jump into a little bit about Virus Pro.
Well, it's really interesting because WorkMerk is a group of retired veterans. And the old Secretary of the Army under the Obama administration, we used to work when he was Secretary of the Army. We all got together to provide solutions, and WorkMerk obviously is a company of solutions to the restaurant industry, hospitality industry, transport industry. Anywhere there's a problem, we find solutions for those problems.
All right, so was VirusSAFE, so our audience kind of understands, VirusSAFE Pro, was that the first product that WorkMerk developed, or was this one of many that they had been working on?
It's one of many. We've got products that work inside the military that are only for military use. We've got transportation pieces. There's a lot of different moving parts with WorkMerk, but VirusSAFE Pro was the biggest to market based on COVID-19 and the world shutdown.
Yeah. All right. So technology-wise, we've seen a lot of innovation happening around COVID. Most of it has been around things like order fulfillment, takeout, things of that nature. But sanitation, food safety, those areas, we haven't seen as many innovations. So this is a welcome one to the marketplace. Talk to us about VirusSAFE Pro and exactly what it does.
Well, VirusSAFE Pro is really a set of protocols and systems put into place that give real-time information to a user. And we all use airports and bathrooms and restaurants. So think about when we go to an airport and they have those three smiley faces. You push a button that says, "Oh, you're happy with the restaurant, the restroom cleanliness or whatever." VirusSAFE Pro literally can geotag me as a cook. And when I say I'm supposed to be doing a standing operating procedure, a protocol, in other words, sweep the refrigerator out, I can literally on my phone say, yes, I swept the refrigerator, and it goes onto a main dashboard. So me as a guest, or you as a guest, can go up to a sticker in the window, a QR code, take your phone, check the QR code, and tell me exactly what that restaurant has been doing 24 hours or 48 hours since I wanted to be there. It literally can tell me I was sweeping or I was outside smoking a cigarette when I should have been sweeping and said I did it.
Uh-huh. Interesting. So heavy accountability for the operator, for sure.
For sure.
Okay, so within the app itself, how many touch points is it measuring? What are the, is it back of house, front of house? How many areas of a restaurant do you kind of look at?
It literally is as many areas as you want it to happen. And it's based on whether it's a sit-down restaurant, whether it's a QR restaurant, a QSR restaurant. It really is depending on the operation. We take your standing operating procedures and implement them specifically. So, for example, it could be McDonald's, Yum Brands. It could be Robert Irvine's restaurant and public house in Vegas, the Pentagon. It really is geared to each and every individual. And the beauty about this is you don't have to be, rich. It's pennies per day to be able to use this. What it does, you said huge accountability. Yes, it is, because every person has the iPhone, the app on there. They sign in. We know exactly what the tests are. They're done. They go to a mainframe dashboard in your office, and we literally can use it as a mitigation tool against somebody saying, well, I got sick in your restaurant. Well, these are the protocols that we follow. Right. This is what's happening. Could it happen? Yes, but 99% it didn't happen because we've got it here.
Right. Yeah. So traceability, in essence, of how a restaurant is handling their safety procedures for cleanliness and, safety checks throughout. Okay. So you can implement your own system of what your protocols are. You can go about this from all different walks of types of restaurants, from QSR all the way up to fine dining, I'm assuming. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
All right. So really, it's a market leader. This could also drop into things like hospitality and retail, could it not?
The beauty about this, Paul, is it's not only the check and verify and making sure procedures done in a timely manner. I can literally, if I have, and I'm using McDonald's as a great example because they have so many restaurants. If I wanted to push information through this highway, whether it be a video of how to clean a station, break something down, cook something, whatever, I have the ability now to shift massive amounts of information in a very short amount of time from one place to millions of locations. It becomes basically what we're doing here. We're communicating through the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so ServSafe has been around for a lot of years. The National Restaurant Association is one of their crown jewels of how they get training into the industry, but also there's kind of some two-way communication. ServSafe, of course, is, for those who are listening, maybe you don't know, but it's basically a safety certification for a restaurant or a hospitality operation to make sure that you qualify and you're going through the regiment of keeping your restaurants clean. Could this be something that could be implemented into a ServSafe type environment?
Well, absolutely. We have just partnered with the National Restaurant Association for the very same thing, ServSafe dining commitment, which means, and you'll see this rolled out in the next couple of weeks and months, obviously, because it's new, but you'll see that restaurants and chains are starting to use this the same way. We're committing to you not only to be able to train our staff and make sure they're accountable to serve you safely, to the ServSafe part, but we can also make sure that when you come in, and I truly believe that the extension of this, Paul, is going to be, you'll be able to look in through your smartphone into kitchens. You'll be able to look into anything that makes us feel safe. The consumer confidence piece of this is the only forward-facing app there is. There is no end-to-end app except VirusSAFE Pro, which says, hey, listen, I want to take my kids who are 2 and 3 years old and my grandma that's 80 years old, and I want them to dine in safety and know that they're not going to get sick, the food's handled from the supply chain safe, and everything's done in the way it should be done in a timely, safe manner.
All right, so a restaurant who's using VirusSAFE Pro, what they'll do is they register for the program, they start implementing into the app itself, so there's some two-way communication there from, I'm assuming, web-based type portal. They get a sticker for the front door that's got the QR code. The QR code can be scanned by any modern, smartphone camera that automatically links me over to a dashboard as a consumer. So I'm seeing all the performance measurements that they're taking to keep me safe. Is that pretty much how it works?
That is exactly right. And the cool thing is, we are now, whether we shop for food, whether we shop for clothing, or we go to a restaurant, whatever that is we're doing now, we have become much more institutionalized. We want to know what people are doing, and if I try on a shirt, for example, in a store, what are you doing with that shirt afterwards? Is it going back on the rack, or is somebody taking care of it and doing something different with it? And with VirusSAFE Pro, I can tell you we're looking at the food, the refrigeration, the cooking temperatures. So basically, you get a whole picture of what's happening in that restaurant to know that when you go there, that Robert Irvine has done his job, making sure you're safe.
Yeah, interesting. I love that part. Okay, so let's talk about consumer confidence, because this is one of the areas that the industry is really faced with as a big challenge right now. We had the first release of the restaurant industry kind of coming back. Now we've had all these states have to re-shut down. Here in Miami, we've had, in Dade County, of course, our restaurants are still shut down for in-restaurant dining. When you look at consumer confidence, do you feel like this is something that can help bolster that confidence to get people back out into the dining rooms?
I think we took such a hit, Paul, with 25%, 50, 75%. Then we open up, and then all of a sudden something happens, and now we're going back. Florida is the same thing. I live in Tampa. I'm in Philadelphia today. The same thing. There's no in-dining restaurants. It's all outside till September 1. I think the VirusSAFE Pro gives the customer feeling that we are doing the right things to make sure that not only the customers, but also the employees are protected. Consumer confidence is everything right now. We don't know what's happening in the states, and the cities all have different mandates with CDC, National Health Institute of Health, OSHA. All these things are happening. And where we say the state of Pennsylvania, is closed, over here I've got 25%, over there I've got 50%, and this is what you can and can't do. And there's a lot of confusion. And that's where the National Restaurant Association is doing such a great job of combining all that information and saying, hey, this is what you need to do. This is what's happening in the real world. And this is what we need to do to bring customers back. And Tom Benet, the president of the National Restaurant Association, who just joined there, and his team are doing a tremendous job of getting this information out.
Interesting. All right. So, Robert, let's talk about this in the sense of local municipalities, government agencies. Here, obviously here in South Florida, we're seeing enforcement areas where they're going and making sure social distance is happening. They're making sure that people are abiding by the mask regulation right now in South Florida. When you look at governments, whether it's cities, municipalities, and so forth, could they not engage with this and utilize this as a tool for being able to kind of monitor what's happening?
I think this is a great way to help, the 11 million hospitality workers get back to work. Yeah. This is a tool that can be used across any service business. It's not restaurants, because I'm a chef and a restaurateur, and I help restaurants. This is what it was designed for. But we have gone larger than life on this now, because any service, whether you're a doctor's office, whether you're a store, a garage, a fuel station, this can be used. And if government takes this and grabs onto it and say, hey, listen, we can subsidize the pennies that it is for the restaurants or the offices to get people back to work, this would be a great tool.
Yeah, interesting.
We're talking about contact tracing and tracing. This is times 10.
Right, yeah, which would be, because right now everybody's kind of patchworking a lot of systems together that are definitely not connected via a dashboard of any sort. I can imagine if you could have someone like the state of Florida that would have a master key to the dashboard of all the locations that had this happening. Oh, that would be huge.
It would be huge. And you know what? That is something that I'm going to work on. Thank you very much. I'll give you 25% of that.
All right.
It's worth it, because it's really giving the consumer that feeling. I've got two daughters, 22 and 19. I want to make sure that they're safe. There's a lot of uncertainty with COVID-19 and the 6 strains or 8 strains, whatever there are now of that, and what it's doing. It's the fear is gripping our nation, our world, in fact, not just the nation. And we've got to somehow break through that and make you and I and our families feel safe that we can go. And VirusSAFE Pro is a great start to do that, and an informational highway to be able to do that.
Yeah. Robert, I want to get off this subject for a second, mainly obviously because of your expertise as a chef. And if you look at fine dining, that's been one of the hardest hit segments in our industry. Fellow chefs out there, they're looking for answers, ways to get around this, maybe where do I go from here kind of thing. Have you seen any good stories that you can kind of share that says, hey, here's something that's happening and it's working?
Yeah, we've just finished the first run of me being back on the road on Restaurant Impossible, back in business. So we have taken restaurants that have been closed through no fault of their own in COVID-19 and literally ceased operations. And I've been back over the last 4 weeks to reopen restaurants. And the information that some are fine dining, some are casual. But what I've noticed and what I'm telling folks, no matter whether you're a 5-star restaurant, 3-star restaurant, mama, it doesn't matter. We have to pivot to listen to the people that are asking for things. For example, when we talk about losing 50% of the seating in a restaurant and that revenue, how do I replace that revenue? 2 things. We got to look at all the financials. How do we go back to the basics with the financials? The staffing level, the food that we're actually serving, the food that we're to go or to carry out, whatever that is, and have we put in windows? Have we used technology to help us not only with websites but also with drive-throughs? Are we saying, oh, we're here in your parking lot, is our food ready? There are great apps now. A lot of people have been working on technology, but I'm saying to all the owners, and this is the Jose Andreses of amazing people that have empires, and the mom and pops, we have to pivot to what the guests are asking for. And if they're asking for hamburgers on pizzas, sorry, Paul, that's where your revenue is. And you have to be able to do that. And I'm using that as an extreme, but I've got people that are now doing takeout meals on on a Monday through Friday. One is a whole roast chicken for 4 people with all the sides. And so complete meals at a very reduced rate. So people, you can't get it cheaper at the supermarket. So we're using the restaurants to feed us in a different way. And I think that's the biggest thing I've seen on the road right now. And also using restaurateurs to help local governments feed nursing homes, elderly patients in hospitals. And there's a great movement of chefs across the country doing that. The restaurants are empty, so they're subbing their business out basically to local governments.
Yeah. Well, these are stories that we're hearing from coast to coast about kind of the shift, especially in casual and fine dining, because that is the area that has been most devastated. Obviously, we have seen a lot of pivots in terms of
Right.
delivery and takeout movement. Do you feel like we're ever going to get back to a certain percentage of in-restaurant dining in that class of fine dining restaurants?
I think it's going to be slightly different. I don't think it's going to be as fine, white glove, tablecloth kind of thing. I do think we're getting back. And my prediction, Paul, and you can hold me to this on that 25% as well, I believe in the next 8 to 12 weeks, we're going to see a different pivot, whether we get a vaccine or not, whether the vaccine works, regardless
Right.
of that. People are now, we're at that stage where we have to get out. It's almost cabin fever. We passed that piece. Now
Yep.
we've got to start supporting our communities. And that's what I'm seeing. A lot of families going back to restaurants, dining outside, picking up, whatever the case may be, 2 or 3 times a week, just to make sure that that restaurant in their community doesn't close. And,
Yeah.
I love that. And people like yourself and the radios and the TVs are highlighting local businesses to be able to say, hey, listen, Mr. Smith has been here for 25 years. We got to take care of this guy. Otherwise, he's going to be gone. And it's like, the restaurant business is like apple pie in America. It was built on business. So
For sure. One last point, I want to get your opinion on this. What's your opinion on virtual dark ghost kitchens, whatever term you want to call them? Do you think they have a future?
yes.
Okay.
I do.
All right. You
I
heard
do.
it from Robert.
Our whole world has changed dramatically. And I think there's going to be, once it settles down, we're going to see like business open that won't be there. And one of the businesses doing really well right now are the virtual cooking lessons, from chefs. And I think that's going to continue. Everybody, for the last 3-4 months, we've said, stay home, stay home, stay home, stay safe. And now what I'm saying with Food Network and Discovery and leading the way and you leading the way are saying, hey, guys, take a trip, see a restaurant, stay safe while you're doing it, make sure they're doing the right things, but support your economy, support your communities. And I think that's going to change. I tell you, 6-8 weeks, I think we're going to have a big shift.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I'm going to be watching for this. Robert, it's always great having you on the show. Thank you so much for stopping in.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate you. Keep doing great work.
All right. Okay, so you guys are listening. Maybe you're over on Spotify or iTunes. Of course, drop us a link there. We love to get kind of your feedback and a great rating. I think that's the other thing is are we doing what you're wanting here on the Barron Report? And I do get your comments and your notes on Twitter. That's the best way to reach out to me, just at Paul Barron. And of course, if you have a great idea, you can shoot that over to producer@foodabletv.com. We'll catch you next time right here on the Barron Report.